Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the podcast here with me and Ryan. Ryan, how are you doing?
Dang, I'm glad it took you under 10 seconds this time to ask how I'm doing. I really appreciate that.
Specifically remembered you getting mad that I didn't ask you last time, so I made sure to ask this time.
I'm sure the audience can tell I'm a lot brighter and hopefully sounding a lot better than last time. I just went to Best Buy and dropped a quick $100 on some lighting and a better microphone. So hopefully you guys notice a difference and I don't sound like I'm in a submarine or look like I'm in the basement, because neither of those are true.
Yeah, he finally upgraded. The submarine thing's actually pretty topical.
I just realized it might have been too soon.
A little bit too soon for submarine talk, but yeah, we're back with another episode of the podcast. This is going to be like our free agency preview, with free agency beginning on Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, I believe. We're kind of just going to go through, talk about some of our potential landing spots, a bunch of rumors going around and things like that. Not much has changed in the league since our last episode, so it's just going to kind of be more of a preview. But last time we did one of these episodes, we asked y'all what to name the podcast, give us some suggestions. We got a lot of y'all's in the comments. A couple of our friends reached out too. We did want to read off some of your suggestions before revealing, although I'm pretty sure I would have changed the channel name by this point, and also it probably says in maybe the title of the video. I'm not really sure, but we'll do kind of a reveal, I guess. There was one in particular. Rig in the comments said this might be Chat GPT level, but maybe combine your names, call it like Crying Over Hoops or something like that. So we appreciate that suggestion. Trying to put
low-key kind of fire, though. I'm not gonna lie.
It is. I'm impressed you found a way to mix Connor and Ryan together and make a coherent word, because it feels like there was no way that could work. But yeah, so there was that one. Chrissy said the step through and the step back. Let's see. We got Thunder Talk mentioning Thunder Bros podcast, which would work if Ryan was a Thunder fan. Got like the Ballin' Bros. The Cohen cast coming from Chris said we don't want anything to do with Ryan. So those are some of our big suggestions. I also want to give a shout out to my guy Clay, who I've been friends with on Twitter for a while, both me and Ryan. And he sent me a bunch of suggestions that we really liked. And ultimately, I think we're going to settle on the two-man game. I think that's the podcast name we're going to go forward with at this point. TMG, I guess you could abbreviate it. But yeah, I mean, we're excited to go forward with that name. We think it's a pretty cool one. You know, there's two of us. It's a basketball-related term. Let us know what y'all think in the comments below about that one. And yeah, that's, I think, the new branding for the podcast.
I think it's pretty relevant too, because we play a lot of hoops together, and I can't tell you how many. Connor's a great basketball player, don't get me wrong, but sometimes this man just wants to draw triple teams nonstop, like he's Joel Embiid out there. And I sometimes will have to pull him over and go, bro, let's play a two-man game. Let's get you some better looks. Let's let's change up the looks that we're given, so it's not so expected what's going on. So I think this fits even in that kind of context, because when we play together, we do a lot of passing. One of our favorite plays is Connor running a Moss route, and I throw it off the inbound. We do that a lot.
Yeah, so, hit him with a backdoor cut. But yeah, I'm a hooper. Like, if you're talking about like the play style, I'm a mid-range bucket getter type of guy. So Ryan does have to rein me in a little bit here and there. I'll admit it, but you know, sometimes the triple team shots go in, so it works. But yeah, so I think we're gonna go forward with that. So just kind of quick announcement, I guess, here at the beginning. Also, please leave a like on the podcast, and also links are going to be in the description or in the comments. It wasn't letting me put them in the description for some reason last time. I think we've got to do another verification thing with the channel, but links to Spotify, Apple, and stuff like that. It should be going up on Apple. It didn't go up last time for some reason, but it should be going up on those as well if you ever want to listen to audio platforms. And if you're here on the YouTube channel, definitely make sure to go check it out on the audio platforms as well, and like it or follow the podcast, whatever you do over there. And, you know, like this video, subscribe to the channel. We're not only going to be doing podcasts, we're also going to be doing like some YouTube shorts and also some other random content, like, you know, start, bench, cut type of things, some tier lists for random NBA or non-NBA related things. So yeah, we've got some fun stuff coming.
If you want to see us do a dumb tier list, comment below what you want us to do. I suggested we do something really dumb, like, I don't know, we could do like fast food, candy, brands of bottled water, whatever you guys are trying to see, because
yeah,
we're down for whatever. Or Connor suggested random role players. That'd be kind of fun. Maybe we just put like a Google form out and everyone gives us a random role player, and then we rank them from S tier to F tier. That'd be kind of fun too.
Yeah, so things like that. We want to keep it interactive with y'all as well. Also, I think the two of us are going to be doing a stream on Friday for free agency. The two of us, or I was going to do one if Ryan's in for it. Like, what time do you get off work on Friday?
What time's free agency start?
6.
Ooh, so I'm off at 5:30. However, I do have a work function that I am highly requested at, so I'll be a game time decision if I'm there or not.
I'll at least be doing kind of a free agency reaction thing. And of course, Ryan and I will drop a podcast reacting to all the big stuff as well. But yeah, those are kind of the announcements and stuff. And now we can actually get into free agency. There's not a lot of teams with cap space. As we're recording this video, this could change a lot in the next like hour. Never mind by the time this podcast comes out tomorrow. But the Rockets, the Kings, the Jazz, the Spurs, the Magic, the Pacers, the Pistons, and the Thunder are the teams with at least some sort of cap space. Basically, everybody else is under the cap. Non-tax-paying teams have a mid-level exception of around $12.5 million. Tax-paying teams, it's a lot less. It's around $5 million. So yeah, if you just kind of want to keep that in mind, basically we're going to go through and play just like a bunch of games and random segments talking about some of our favorite free agents, some of our fits. By the end of this, we're going to predict where all the major free agents land. So yeah, I guess, Ryan, do you want to go ahead and start us off with the first thing that we've got set up?
Yeah, so we're going to start doing start bench cut free agent edition. So the way we did this, we kind of did a theme, because obviously if we did like, I don't know, Kyrie and 2 random role players, I mean, we're going to buy Kyrie, you know what I mean? So we try to either do certain archetypes or certain fits to try to make it a little bit more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So the first start bench cut free agent edition that I'm going to show you guys, we have Kyle Kuzma, Fred VanVleet, and Jeremy Grant. And specifically, I want this, if you're one of those teams that Connor named with a lot of cap and you just want to throw someone a bag for the living heck of it, who are you throwing the bag to? Start bench cut edition.
Yeah, so kind of because like most of those teams that have money are like kind of rebuilding squads, unless you're the Kings. So it's interesting. I think for me personally, I think it's tough because part of me wants to say Fred VanVleet for cut, but I think Fred VanVleet is the best player on this list. But I do worry about his age. And it seems like, according to reports, he wants like $30+ million. There's also a rumor, and we'll talk more about rumors later, that the Rockets might offer Fred VanVleet like 2 years, 80 mil or something like that in free agency. So it seems like he's asking for a lot of money. He's a smaller guard, and I think he's for sure the best player here. But if I'm a rebuilding team in this scenario that we've kind of put together, I think Fred VanVleet's probably my cut, just because I don't want to give that much money to a smaller guard who's up there in age. He's older than both of those guys. And I think, I don't know, the efficiency also worries me. Like, he's a great 3-point shooter, but the 2-point shots really don't fall for him because he is a smaller guy. You know, bringing a point guard, you have to change your system a lot more around those type of guys usually, rather than if you bring a 4 like Kuzma or Jeremy Grant, who can both also play some 3 if you need him to. Jeremy Grant maybe a bit more than Kuz. So I think I'm going to go, it also depends on situation, but I think I'm going to go Jeremy Grant for the start. I think I'm going to bench Kuzma, and I think I'm going to cut Fred VanVleet if I'm one of these like rebuilding teams that are looking to throw a bag at somebody.
I think that's the exact same order I was going to do. I was choosing between Grant and Kuzma for that first and second spot, kind of like you were. Too. But I think my thing is with Jeremy Grant is it could be kind of like a Pistons scenario. Well, if you throw him 3 for 60 and he's having a great season, one of these contending teams gets desperate, then you could get assets back for that so easily. You know, that's a very tradable contract. So
he also he fits well on any team. I think Kuzma, you have to kind of mold a little bit more around him. I think there are some interesting fits out of the cap space teams for Kuz, but I think with Jeremy Grant, he just fits systems a little bit better than a Kyle Kuzma, who I do think is really good. Like, I think Kuz is very deserving of getting a bag, and I think he will, but I think Jeremy Grant just fits a little bit better on a lot of those teams.
I like that Kings fit with Kyle Kuzma because I think he really complements Sabonis' game because they're 2 extremely different players. So if you have them at the 4 and the 5, I think that's really nice to pair alongside, you know, De'Aaron Fox and all their other.
Yeah, and I like Grant a lot too for the Kings. I think either of those guys. Yeah. And the Kings were able to clear up some cap space with the Rashawn Holmes trade on draft night and Harrison Barnes. They could potentially let him walk. So the Kings have some cap space, and I think they should look for a 4 like that, see if they can steal Jeremy Grant away from the Blazers, maybe Kyle Kuzma, bring him in. I like either of those fits too. So that's our quick start bench cut for that. And now this one is kind of some of these bucket getters. You say you have a mid-level exception available. Which one of these guys do you want to go out and snag? We've got Karis LeVert, Jordan Clarkson, who right now still is a player option. So there's a chance he doesn't even hit free agency if he just picks that up. But I don't think he will. I feel like he'll probably go for a longer-term deal. And then Max Strus is the last guy there.
So I'm going easy for me. Start Jordan Clarkson. I think that's extremely easy. I just feel like he's a multi-dimensional scorer. He can kind of get you, like, obviously he can shoot the threes, but there's so many games where I swear Jordan Clarkson put up like 30 points and made 2 threes.
Yeah, like Clarkson is, I think he's also a bit more versatile than some of these other guys. And my big thing with Karis LeVert is the consistency is all over the place. He's either
Absolutely.
dropping you 40 points
Or
or he's
4.
giving you 3. Yeah, or 4, exactly. So, yeah, I think I would also start Clarkson. Are you benching Struess or are you benching LeVert?
I think I'm cutting Strus simply because if I'm giving one of these guys 15 mil a year, like if you need 3-point shooting, then Max Strus, could fill it in. But I really feel like Max Strus's value is kind of capped at that 3-point shooting. He doesn't offer a ton on defense. He can I mean, he can get you a board every once in a while or a bucket in another way, but I just feel like if I'm a team looking for 3-point shooting, I target Max Strus. If I'm looking just for bench buckets, I'm going for Clarkson or LeVert.
That's fair. I think I'm going to bench Struess and cut LeVert just because the consistency is all across the board. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. I think I'm going to start Clarkson, bench Struess, cut LeVert. You're going with start Clarkson, bench LeVert, and cut Struess.
I think the only reason why I'm benching LeVert is because on a given night he can be your best player. Like I think
That's true. I think the
Cavs,
ceiling is higher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh yeah, the floor is definitely way lower, but
Mhm.
I'm taking him as a bench simply because of the ceiling. And if we're
Well,
all,
Max Struess had some rough games in the finals too.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could go either way, but Clarkson definitely feels like the guy you have to start. I feel like if he declines that player option, then he's going to be a huge pickup, or he's a big potential pickup for any. Like, if a contending team is looking to spend a mid-level exception, Jordan Clarkson's one of the first guys they should probably take a look at.
I think a sign and trade could be something that could very well happen too with all the Jazz's cap space.
Mm-hmm.
If a team wants to throw an asset and maybe a contract taking Clarkson on some more money, I think that could also be a very likely scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love him on basically any of the contenders. Like, if you can just have him be a bench bucket getter for you, like he's going to be one of the best 6 men in the entire league, pretty much any season. So I like that a lot for Clarkson. We just got a notification. I don't know if you saw it from Woj. Are you still blocked by Woj?
I am blocked by Woj.
Okay.
If the viewers don't know, I have no idea why I've been blocked by him for probably like 2 or 3 years at least. No idea. I just kind of looked one day and I was like, what? Why can't I see his tweets? Or it might have been that, or somebody was like, yo, Ryan, did you see a notification? I'm like, no, let me go look. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm blocked. And I don't even like troll him like that on Twitter or anything. So I think one time I tweeted out Shams is greater than Woj, but
yeah, I think he might name search a little bit because I know some people that have tweeted out similar stuff or like jokes about Shams and Woj and they got blocked. So maybe he found it through that. But the notification is that the Clippers aren't going to guarantee Eric Gordon's contract. They're going to like waive him and just let him go. And he's going to be a free agent. So that's another potential bucket getter out there on the market.
If we throw Gordon into this list and make it like a 4-man list, is he on the bottom? Or do you take him over any of these guys? Because he kind of fits the same archetype.
I think I go Clarkson, Gordon, LeVert, Struess, or Struess, LeVert. I think I put Gordon kind of in the middle there. Although the age is a bit of a worry with Gordon too. Like he's getting older. The injuries have happened at times. So that does kind of concern me. I guess it depends what you could get him. But I mean, if the Clippers were straight up waiving him, I feel like you could get him for a lot cheaper than these guys.
Absolutely.
So I think because of that reason, I'll probably put him in like the second spot.
I think if we were going like if all 4 of these guys wanted the same kind of contract, I'd have Gordon at the bottom by far, just because of age and injury concerns and stuff like you were mentioning. But if it was like, would I rather have Karis LeVert for 15 a year, or would I rather for 4 years, or would I rather have Eric Gordon for a tax-paying mid-level exception? I would take Eric Gordon every single time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But yeah, so those are a couple of our start bench cuts. Now we're going to go to buy or sell free agent edition. So we're going to pick some players and ask if you're kind of buying into this person's stock and free agency. Like if you're a team with cap space, is this a player that you're looking at heavily pursuing? Are you a bit wary of them? Kind of what we talked about a little bit with Fred VanVleet, with some of the concerns that we have with him. So yeah, is there anyone in particular in mind you want to start with, Ryan? If not,
I was going to hit you with Dennis Schroeder.
Dennis Schroeder's interesting. I think for a lot of these, it's also going to be like kind of, what is the price that I'm getting Dennis Schroeder's contract at? I mean, I'm picking up Dennis Schroeder. I'm kind of buying some stock in him as a free agent. He isn't going to be like, you probably don't want to be the lead point guard on your roster, but if you can pick him up as a bench guard, kind of the way the Lakers played it, where it was him and D'Angelo Russell, where whichever one of them was doing better on any given night, they kind of got the stretch run minutes. I think that's also a good role for him. I would like to see the Lakers bring him back because I do think he fits what they're looking to do over there. Also he's a Thunder legend, so I've got to. But
I was gonna say if he could be like in his OKC role too with the team,
or he should have won Sixth Man of the Year. I will never get over how he was robbed of Sixth Man of the Year back in 2020. It was Montrezl Harrell won that award despite him and Lou Williams both being the six men for that team. Dennis Schroeder had some nights where he was our best player and he got robbed. I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to rant about this for 20 minutes. Just know that Dennis Schroeder, in my mind,
you need to put him on your free agent list that you have here.
I mean,
forgot his existence.
No, I don't even think Montrezl Harrell is like that worth talking about at this point. He was not great for the Sixers. They didn't really play him that much down the stretch. I think a team will probably bring him in, but like he's not really even like a great bench big anymore. So no. I don't know.
It comes a black hole in defense. If you have this is so random, but like if you had obviously not every team has this, but like if you had like a 4 that could play defense like a center, like an Anthony Davis or a Giannis, then you could have Harrell out there as your 5, I think.
Mm-hmm.
To get some buckets off the bench. But if you're not playing one of those elite defending 4s, I don't think you can have him out there as your big man unless you are playing some crazy small ball lineup against another team that doesn't have a threat on the inside like that.
Exactly. It's just rough. And the offense he provides you really is not good enough anymore. Like he was that huge, energy big off the bench for the Clippers. He just doesn't really have that in the tank anymore. So
you're selling Montrezl Harrell?
I'm selling Montrezl Harrell stock.
No, yeah, I'm not counting that as one of my picks, but
no, I'm not. I'm not buying Montrezl Harrell stock in this free agency. No, not at all. But
all right, you hit me with one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. Let's go with Christian Wood. Where are you at on him?
So Christian Wood, I'm selling simply because if he is demanding like a mid-level exception type of contract.
Yeah, let's say he's asking for like your mid-level exception.
I mean, if I'd rather be paying a lot of other guys on here, like I'd rather be paying Schroeder or DiVincenzo or any one of these guys. I feel like I'd rather pay over him. I'm looking at the wings too. Like I'd give that contract to Oubre, over him.
Mm-hmm. He's one of these players. We've heard a lot of rumors about different guys. I have no idea where Christian Wood is going. I have no idea. Like
it's just he just got his all his value got Dallas crushed his value.
They did. I remember everyone was saying how much it felt like the Mavericks fleeced Christian Wood, and I was looking for a clip of his, just him playing, to put in my YouTube video where I kind of previewed free agency a little bit, and I looked it up, and I think it was Kevin O'Connor on Twitter. It was like Christian Wood's first game, I think. And he had like a massive first game for the Mavericks. And he was like, look at all the stuff Christian Wood can do with Luka. He's the most talented teammate that Luka's ever had. And then he got benched and he never really played much. It felt like
never in the closing lineups. There's so many.
The defense is bad. The offense is cool and all, but I just don't know if he's that much of a winning type of player. Like unless he gets the defense up more, or like you said, like if you've got like an Anthony Davis out there, like I think the Lakers would be a solid.
I kind of like Miami with him. If Miami can get him on a budget, I kind of like that a lot.
There was that rumor. That is one spot that he's been linked to, is potentially going to Miami.
I think that's an incredible spot because you'll have Bam next to him. And for so long, Heat fans have been begging for a 4 to play next to Bam that can stretch the floor and get some buckets. And with the Heats also having the issue where they don't have a lot of shot creators outside of Jimmy, It's like, all right, we need a bucket. Who can we go to if Jimmy's not hot or if Jimmy isn't on the floor? Christian Wood can be that guy. So I think if they could get him for a good price, I think they're still going to target Kevin Love probably on a reunion. I could see that potentially happening if they want.
And they could probably get him back for like a minimum. Like I don't think Kevin Love's going to.
Someone's going to get Udon's roster spot.
That's true. Heat legend Udonis Haslem. Hope he enjoys retirement. Shout out to him.
Are you buying or selling Udonis Haslem as a free agent?
I mean, I'm buying a ticket to his jersey retirement ceremony is what I'm doing.
All right, hit me with another one. Okay, so I guess Christian Wood I'm going to sell unless it's Miami.
Yeah, I'm selling the stock on Christian Wood. It really just feels like I don't know what I'm getting with him after Dallas. Like he doesn't provide enough. Like I worry a little bit about the defense as a 4 unless he's next to another great defender. I don't think he's great as a center because he doesn't provide much rim protection or defense whatsoever. The buckets are fun. I think he could be a bench big for a lot of these teams, but I don't know. Okay, let's move on now to, let's see, who's another player that we haven't talked about a little bit. What about Dante DiVincenzo? Where are you at on Dante?
So I'm buying Dante DiVincenzo, actually. I think didn't get the best role with the Warriors. I think he was definitely expecting to have a bigger impact on their team this season. And I feel like in the limited run he got, he kind of fit that do it all type of player that he's really known for. He's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. And if you want him to shoot, you want him to rebound, you want him to play make, like he can really do all of it. And I think for a mid-level exception, he would be a really good piece to a contending team. I don't think a rebuilding team should go after him. It doesn't make any sense. But it is interesting because I know he had that issue with the Kings where it didn't really work out with them. And they were kind of in that similar spot where they needed that type of player.
Yeah.
And the Warriors wasn't too bad of a fit either. But I think, I hate to say it, but honestly, if he could somehow get back to the Bucks, I think that's a really good spot for him.
I do think the Bucks are a good spot for him too. I completely agree. Yeah. I mean, any contending team could use he's a solid defending, 3-point shooting wing. Like, he's not going to do anything crazy for you, but he's an archetype of player that a lot
I feel
of
like
teams
he's a great value version of Josh Hart. I know they're both Villanova guys. But
well, I mean, that's apparently the Knicks are interested in bringing him in because he has the Villanova connection with Hart and Brunson. So, and that's a spot I like also for Dante DiVincenzo. Just give them another.
He's a Tibbs player, man. Absolutely.
He does feel like a Tibbs type of player that would come in and just play solid defense, hustle, knock down some shots.
Definitely did not just get water in my eye. Oh my god! I don't know.
Ryan is drowning by drinking water. If you're listening on the audio,
Dante DiVincenzo talk got me crying, man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Ryan's tearing up over Dante DiVincenzo. It's like that one Twitter space where the guy's yelling like, "We got DiVincenzo!" like screaming it after the Warriors signed him. You're that level of passion about Dante DiVincenzo's game. So, but yeah, I mean, I think again for a contending team, he's a pretty solid fit, and I do think you could get him for pretty cheap. Like if one of those tax-paying teams throws him $5 million for this season, I think that's probably something that he could get.
Another fit I'm going to throw out there just in case this happens and then we can clip it is I could see him being a backup plan for the Nuggets if they lose Bruce Brown. He's like nowhere near as good as Bruce Brown, but he's kind of fits that role that Bruce Brown had for them. And if they really want, the knockoff version, I think that's a good plan.
I like that fit too. I mean, yeah, I don't think that's bad at all. So yeah, shout out to Dante DiVincenzo. We're both buying some stock on him as a free agent.
All right. Let me see. Who's someone controversial I can go for here?
Yeah, I know we got that full list of free agents towards the bottom that has a lot of different guys on there.
All right, I got you one. Unless you're the Kings, Harrison Barnes, like what? I don't know. It's kind of weird for me. I feel like because you know what you're getting with him, you're going to get like a 15 to 20 point game score. It's just like I don't know how much of a ceiling raiser he is, and a lot of these rebuilding teams kind of want him because they have cap space, and he could be a good role model and a good leader. But I don't know, man. He's interesting for me.
I think I'm going to buy stock in Harrison Barnes. I think he's good. And I don't think, you should pay him like $20 million or anything like that. Like I think 12 to 15 mil is pretty good for a Harrison Barnes type of player. There's a rumor that the Pacers are interested in him, which I don't mind. I do think they should probably just play Jarris Walker there with the 4 and kind of just stick with that. But I mean, I think Harrison Barnes, he was good for the Kings this past year. I like what he brought to the table. I think he'd be a solid fit on the Jazz if they didn't have 50 million power forwards, so they don't need somebody like him. I feel like he could be a decent fit on any of those teams with cap space. Or if a team has like that mid-level exception, I also think Harrison Barnes is a pretty good player to pick up, whether he's coming off your bench, whether he's starting. He's just a bigger wing, which is a valuable archetype in the league. He knocks on some shots, plays some solid defense. He just does a bit of everything. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to buy stock on Harrison Barnes.
If we somehow get off Tobias Harris's contract, I like him in Philly a lot.
Yeah, I know there was all those rumors a few years ago about trade packages for like Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris and stuff, and there was that one where it was like
Buddy Hield and Harrison Barnes should have been Sixers by now. If you only knew basketball from Twitter, you would think that Buddy Hield and Harrison Barnes were Sixers like 3 years ago.
You would have thought a lot of players were Sixers at this point because the amount of trade rumors that y'all have had. You would think Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and a first-round pick were Sixers too.
I wish they were,
or I guess a crumble cookie for Tobias Harris.
We'll throw the crumble cookie in there. Dude, Tobias Harris is out here coming out crumble cookies, man. Crumble cookies are good.
I actually think he's sponsored by them, isn't he?
He is, and he also tweeted out at Crumble, and he was like, "Hey, no shade being thrown at you guys." And Crumble quoted it too and was talking about it. I don't remember the exact tweet they said, but
I was doing a stream. My stream actually today for BR, which by the way, Ryan and I are going to be doing a joint BR stream next week, which is super exciting. That's Friday, I think at 3 p.m. Eastern. So be on the lookout for that. I don't know what the topic is quite yet. It's going to be something free agency related, but I was doing a stream today actually talking about the Sixers, and people in the chat were, I was asking them, would you trade? Would you keep Tobias Harris? and someone brought up the crumble cookie thing, and a debate sparked in chat between 2 or 3 guys, and they were debating so heavily Insomnia versus crumble cookies.
Crumble
Like they
clears, man. Absolutely clears.
But what about
Insomnia is really good if you want traditional cookies, but if you're talking about the best possible cookie, it's easily
my
crumble.
only thing with crumble is that like I want to eat a cookie, and it feels like one crumble cookie like is enough sugar for a month.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If your only goal is to have a cookie, like just a cookie, just kind of a chill cookie.
Yeah.
I'm going to crumble. It's kind of like here's a really good analogy for me. You want a cheeseburger, right?
Yeah, I do.
Obviously, a Five Guys or a Shake Shack burger will clear a McDonald's or Wendy's burger, right? Easily. However, why would you ever then go to McDonald's or Wendy's to get a burger if the Shake Shack and the Five Guys one always clears? It's the same kind of thing, I feel like, with crumble and Insomnia.
Okay.
If I'm
kind of seeing what you're saying.
You see the vision? If I'm going for a cookie, the best cookie possible is easily crumble. However, there are many reasons why I would go to Insomnia over crumble, depending on the context of the situation.
Okay, I can see it a little bit. I also think Insomnia cookies. By the way, if y'all have no idea what we're talking about, there's 2 cookie places called Insomnia cookies and Crumble cookies. Hopefully, most of y'all know.
Comment down below which one's better.
Yes, let us know which one's better. I kind of lean Insomnia a little bit just because, I mean, Crumble is really good. I don't know. I can't pick between these 2.
It's Crumble, guys. Don't worry. I'm buying Crumble. I'm selling Insomnia.
Selling the Insomnia cookie stock. Now, at some point, Insomnia Cookies is going to reach out to sponsor the pod, and they're going to see this episode and pull the plug on that because of what you've done here.
I never said they were bad. I just said they're not as good as Crumble.
Okay, but you said their main competitor was better.
It is.
Okay. If an Insomnia Cookies employee or CEO is watching this, I apologize. His views do not reflect mine. But anyways,
I'm gonna give you one more, and then you give me one more.
Okay, you're gonna go. All right,
yeah, I'll give you one more. All right. I'm gonna go. Russell Westbrook.
You know me. I'm buying stock on Russell Westbrook as a free agent. Thunder legend, the definition of a Thunder legend, greatest Thunder player of all time.
He is the Thunder legend.
He is the Thunder legend. But he was really good for the Clippers. Like, he was phenomenal. I don't think he fits every situation. I think the Clippers probably bring him back, and I think that's a really ideal spot for him because the big thing they need is rim pressure on that team when Russ came into the equation. And I mean, they were really competitive against the Suns, despite Kawhi Leonard and Paul George basically missing the entire series. You know, Kawhi played that game 1. I don't think he played game 2. He might have played game 2, but he didn't play for basically that entire series, it felt like. So Russ was able to keep them competitive. The defense was great. The hustle, the playmaking, the shooting was actually pretty solid efficiency-wise. I think there are a number of teams that should look at bringing in a Russell Westbrook if they can get him for a mid-level exception. Again, I do think he just goes back to the Clippers because he was so successful there after a really up and down relationship with the Lakers, the other LA team. But I mean, if I'm a team that's looking for a point guard and looking for some rim pressure, some playmaking, I think Russ did a great job to kind of salvage some of his value in his time as a Clipper after it felt like, you know, how many more contracts is he going to get after his Lakers tenure?
I know he's been linked to these 2 teams for like the entire millennium, but Miami and Chicago, I think, are 2 other good landing spots for him.
Chicago just desperately needs a guard. Like, with Lonzo being hurt, I would assume it was not great this past season. Alex Caruso is a good defender, but he's not really like your lead ball handler. Yeah, so they could use a guard over there. I mean, I think Russ is interesting over there, although the spacing between him and DeMar DeRozan isn't phenomenal. But, you know, the Bulls are kind of in that weird limbo spot where they also signed Vucevic to that extension today, 3 years, $60 million, which I don't hate because I think that's a decently tradable contract if you do decide to go the rebuild route. Even if you trade off guys right now, Vucevic just gets a bunch of buckets for half the season, and then you could deal him at the deadline. So I don't hate that. But the Bulls are in that limbo where we don't know if they're going to rebuild. They're going to stay on this course. So I don't hate Russ for them. I think he's also interesting for Miami. I, again, worry a bit about the spacing with him, Bam, and Jimmy Butler. But I do think having that downhill rim pressure, which the Heat need maybe a little bit more of, is interesting. So, yeah, I don't hate those fits, but I do think he goes back to the Clippers.
All right. Hit me with one more.
I had to take a sip of water after that one. Every time I take a sip of water, the camera just disappears. Like, the focus completely is gone.
It'd be like that. I really do.
Yeah. So, let's see. I'm going to go to... Let's go with Chris Middleton. You know, he's been dealing with some injuries. He's probably going to ask for like $30-35 million this upcoming free agency. It seems like he's going to go back to the Bucks. But if you're a team that has cap space and is looking for a guy, you know, the Rockets are looking for like a 3, if your team looking for a signing trade, just trying to bring in another high-level player, are you buying or selling stock on Chris Middleton?
I am selling the absolute crap out of Chris Middleton.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I think
I'm kind of surprised.
He's a really solid player, but I almost feel like if Giannis could get someone that was more consistent, healthy, and maybe in a little bit better of a spot age-wise, because he's starting to get a little bit older too, I feel like it would skyrocket the Bucks' potential. I understand why they're going to bring him back, because I think at this point the best possible way for them to compete is to have their guys. Brook and Middleton, just bring them back. Sure, you had that first round exit against the Heat, but I think it was more of an anomaly than anything. I think they're still a top 3 team in the
They're
East.
still one of the best teams in the conference. They're a championship contender.
But I don't know, man. If there's a way where you could get off Chris Middleton and bring someone in of a similar caliber that wasn't him, if I'm the Bucks, I go for it. But because I feel like with Giannis, you're going to be good regardless. And I feel like at this point, it's worth, especially that you already have a ring under your belt, it's worth maybe going in a different direction.
Yeah. The injury concerns are rough. When he's healthy, he's really consistent. He's great, but talking about the health, he had a really up and down season this
though, but he puts up Tobias Harris numbers, man. He's putting up like
he's better. He puts up better than Tobias Harris numbers. Come on,
close, man. He's putting around 20 a game with like okay 3-point shooting.
20 a game. Okay, last season he put up 20 a game, 37.3% from deep, 5.4 rebounds, 5.4 assists. Tobias is not putting up the dime numbers.
But every other number is extremely close.
He shot 41% from 3 in their championship season, 41.5 the year before. Do not give Chris Middleton. You would not trade Chris Middleton for a crumble cookie, is all I'm saying.
You'd trade him for insomnia cookies, though, based on the
oh my god. I think I'm buying on Chris Middleton because I think people are down on him. Like, if people are selling the stock, I still think if he gets healthy, he's phenomenal. One of the best 2 options you can have on it, or one of the best 2 options that is on a championship team at the moment. And plus, he's got that relationship with Giannis, with Brook Lopez, if they're able to bring him back, which is kind of a question mark at the moment. So if I'm the Bucks specifically, I'm looking to buy on his stock. I will say if I'm one of those other teams, I do think there are some players out there that are a bit younger that I might go after before him because of the injury concerns. But especially if I'm the Bucks, like I think you have to bring back Chris Middleton at least for now. Maybe down the line.
Chris Middleton 4 years, $150 million. You really are?
Not 100. I don't think he's going to ask for 150 mil.
You don't think he's been an all? Has he been an All NBA player? He has, right?
I don't think he's been All NBA. He's been All-Star a few times.
I know, but he's at least been a perennial All-Star. You don't think he's going to try to demand close to a max? Like if you're declining a $30 million player option, then
I mean.
You're going to get at least 30 mil a year, I feel like, over a couple of years if you're declining that.
I don't think 30 mil a year is that bad for Chris Middleton. If he stays healthy, that's fine.
Dude, Tobias Harris, man, all written all over.
Oh my God, you're
4 for 160 incoming.
You're a hater. You're just a Chris Middleton hater. I think that's fine value for Chris Middleton. If you're paying him like 30 mil a year, this is again with the caveat that he's healthy. I do think you could, bargain a little bit if you're the Bucks or another one of these teams that you're worried about his injury concerns, because this is now a couple years in a row where injuries have significantly impacted the end of the season for the Bucks with Chris Middleton. So I do think that is something you can bring up in negotiations. But at the same time, if I'm the Bucks, especially to keep like Giannis happy, which is the ultimate goal at the moment, if he wants Chris Middleton back, I have no problem paying him. We're like
keeping his brother on the roster. He'll be happy. He'll be fine. The Nationals wouldn't be employed if Giannis wasn't on the team. Come on now.
You got to keep Chris too. That's his number 2. So to me, I think you pay Chris Middleton that amount of money. I mean, if he's asking for like 160, like if he's asked for like 4 years, 160, and it's 40 mil, I'm a lot more hesitant, but I think 30 mil is fine. I mean, you're not going to pay anybody else. Like with this team, you can't bring anybody else in. You might as well keep Chris Middleton around. So
no, I get it. I can see the side. I'm still sticking with my opinion, but I rock with it.
That's fair. I have to defend my guy Chris Middleton because I'm a believer.
I hope he does well. I'm rooting for him. I'm not a hater. I'm not praying on his downfall.
I don't know. We'll see.
You're against the Sixers in the playoffs, then his downfall can happen right in front of my eyes. That's totally cool. But
you're saying Tobias Harris numbers. I don't know, man.
I mean, Tobias Harris is an assassin. So, I mean,
I do want to say real quick, Tobias Harris is a good player. I think sometimes people conflate his contract with his play. He's not worth $30 million for like what
he's being paid 40, but you tried
$40 million, whatever. He's not worth that amount of money. But I do think that Tobias Harris is still a good player. And I think sometimes people conflate like, overpaid with not being a good player. It was the same thing with Chris Paul. I felt like last season, like Chris Paul wasn't great, but he was still a fine player. Like he was still, dishing out dimes, knocking out his threes at a high clip. So I think that's just kind of something that I wanted to mention.
I think the issue with Tobias Harris is not because if you just like look at the stats, like you can, I agree. If you look at the stats, there's nothing that you should really complain about other than he makes too much money. But it's just watching him play that I think gives Sixers fans especially a headache. Like there's a lot of things you don't see in the box score that just like make you so mad watching him play. Whether it's like passing up, a good shot for a worse shot, or losing the ball in a very crucial situation, or making a interesting decision, or sleeping on defense. Like there are he makes a lot of great plays. And I do think we're a better team with him unless we got like a crazy haul. Like I don't think we should get rid of him for like two meh role players. Like I don't think that makes us a better team. If we could bring in someone, of his caliber plus somebody else for his contract, do I do that? Absolutely. But I do understand kind of where management for the Sixers is coming from in terms of like, we're not going to get rid of him unless we know we're going to improve the team. And I feel like there's probably not a lot of opportunities to do so.
That's kind of similar to what
unless you're getting Mobley and Allen in a first.
Yeah, unless you're Daryl Morey asking for that type of trade package. Yeah, that's kind of what I said in my stream earlier, because the majority of the chat voted in the poll that I put up to trade Tobias Harris. My problem is I don't think you're going to get anything that makes this team actively better than what Tobias Harris brings to the table right now. Like you could get a couple role players that could help, but I do think what Tobias Harris brings to the table is valuable. If you get like a high-level defensive wing and also like a decent filler in the front court spot, then maybe. But overall, I think Tobias Harris is probably the best option you're going to have right now. There were some people in the chat saying trade Tobias for Paul George, like you could pull that off. Like you just can't do it. It's not 2K. Man. You can't make that type of trade.
I want whatever's in the water they're drinking.
I mean, it was Sixers fans, so you probably have whatever they've been drinking in the water over there. So,
all right. So let's we're going to back off a bit from people making too much money, and we're going to do some bargain picks. So I'm going to go through, we have a grand list of like most of the free agents. I'm going to pick 3 out that I think, if I'm a team looking for a guy on a cheap contract that I think could have a good impact, who I'm picking up, and then Connor will give us 3. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So I'm be a little bit biased here, and I don't know if the Sixers are going to pick him back up or not, but I think Shake Milton in a different situation could be a really good bench scorer. I do think he has a short leash sometimes in Philly, and Doc was never really good with him, coaching wise. Yeah. I do hope the Sixers bring him back. But I really think he could be a really good bench scorer for a team that's looking for that. And, he's kind of like this hybrid guard. He can play shooting guard. He's not the best ball handling guard in the world, but if he's like your option off the bench, then on a cheap contract, there's nothing wrong with that. So I could see him, really helping a competitive team out, or going to a bad team and getting a big role.
I like that pick a lot. I'm a big Shake Milton truther. I think he's really good. Again, I think it could be a situation scenario with Shake Milton, where if you put him in a different location where he's got a bit more freedom, the leash is longer, and there's a lot of guards over there in Philly between Melton. You've got James Harden, who I think the Sixers are going to bring back. Spoiler alert for when we make predictions later. Tyrese Maxey, like you've got some good guards over there in Philly. So I think
hopefully Jaden Springer this year gets a chance.
Yeah, please play Jaden Springer.
That might be a thing that holds back the Sixers and bringing him back, unless we, get him for cheap and he takes a pay cut to come home. I feel like Jaden Springer, at some point, you can't just let him be putting up G League MVP numbers nonstop. Like you gotta just play the man, see what you got. Yeah. You took a first round pick on him. Go see what he's made of.
And he feels like an archetype of player that if what he does translates consistently to the NBA, it feels like a type of guard that the Sixers could kind of use, kind of another like defensive, like D'Anthony Melton type of guard that I think helps out a little bit with the lack of defensive presence in the backcourt between Maxey and Harden. I hope Nick Nurse actually plays him. We'll see. But no, I like the Shake Milton pick a lot.
Also, Nick Nurse loves his lengthy players, and Shake Milton, they always talk about his wingspan being crazy. So, he might be a Nick Nurse perfect type of player.
Maybe he brings him back, and Jaden Springer again gets sent to the shadow realm of the G League, and Shake Milton returns the rotation. But I like that pick a lot. That's one that I was going to make as well. So I'll go with someone else. Another value guy that I kind of like, I'm going to go Josh Richardson, a former Sixer. He was really solid for the Spurs this past season. I'm going to go ahead and pull up his exact stats, so I have them kind of here on hand.
Keep up Basketball Reference, because I'm going to have you. The next pick I'm going to make is kind of like I watch him kind of pick. I'm pretty sure he had good stats last year, but I'm want you to pull up the numbers so I don't look like an idiot.
Yeah, he was great for the Spurs. He averaged 11.5 points per game, shot 35% from deep, and then he was traded to the Pelicans, where again he was good. Averages 7.5 points because he was in a smaller role. Shot 38.4% from deep, averaged over a steal per game in both of those locations. He was good, and I think you could probably get him for like a few mil, maybe even a minimum type of contract. And he's going to give you some defense. He's going to give you some 3-point shooting. Another player that I think will just play a solid role for a team, and I think some contender or competitive squad is going to pick up Josh Richardson. I wouldn't even mind if it was the Pelicans, if they brought him back. I think he fits a really solid wing role off the bench for basically any team out there. And I don't think people realized how solid he was this past season.
All right, next guy. I want you to pull up Trey Lyles' stats for me.
Oh, Trey Lyles is a bucket. I'm also a Trey Lyles believer. You're taking all the guys I wanted to pick. Trey Lyles
Great minds think alike. So the thing with Trey Lyles, especially for me, was I watched a lot of the Kings this year because they were always like, the late game, and their games are always high scoring and fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I on FanDuel placed bets on Trey Lyles threes or Trey Lyles points, because I swear there was a stretch where he would be playing 15 minutes a game and still getting like 12 points and 2 or 3 threes. What are his exact splits, Connor, for last season?
Yeah, so he scored 7.6 points per game in 16.9 minutes. He shot 45.8% from the field, 36.3% from deep, and he grabbed 4.1 boards. I like Trey Lyles a lot. I think the Kings should try to bring him back. But if I'm any team out there that is looking to bring in just a floor spacer, I would love him on the Sixers. I think that's a phenomenal spot. If you want to replace George Niang with someone else,
who do you take, him or Niang?
I think I would take Trey Lyles.
I think he offers more on the defensive side because he's a little bit bigger. What were his did he blocks and steals? Was he all right?
Let's see. Steals was 0.4. It's kind of negligible. Blocks per game was 0.4. So he's not really, helping you out too much in terms of those counting stats. But I mean, just by virtue of being bigger and a bit lengthier than George Niang, plus I think the foot speed is a lot quicker with
definitely.
George Niang being nicknamed the minivan. Shout out to him, by the way. I got to talk to him one time on Twitter Space. Super cool guy.
I love him, man. I hope we bring him back.
I hope so too. I like him over there in Philly. He just feels like a Philly type of guy.
He will take a.
He came in and that game when Ben Simmons came back, George Niang, did he ever even play with Ben Simmons?
No.
He never played with him, and he hated him more than anyone else. He just bought into that.
George Niang is what people thought Mike Scott was personality-wise in Philly.
He's like the new Mike Scott replacement.
Yeah. Except one of them doesn't block me on Twitter.
Shout out to Mike Scott, UVA legend. But yeah, I think Trey Lyles is a great pick. I like that one a lot. Again, Sixers. I also think Josh Richardson would be a pretty good fit for y'all as well. I know he was not great in Philly last time, so I don't know if you bring him back, but
there's another former Sixer on this list that I would rather have back, which I guess I can shout out real quick. Seth Curry. That was the guy I brought up when I was talking about the Sixers today on that stream. He was one of the free agents I picked. And basically all the vote, it was like him, Josh Richardson. I think I had Jay Crowder and Torrey Craig on there as like 4 potential free agents that the Sixers could pursue. Seth Curry won by a landslide in terms that was definitely more of Sixers fans nostalgia than them actually thinking. But I agree. I think that'd be a great pickup for the Sixers. He's familiar with the whole roster. I know Doc's not there anymore, but I mean, and that voice crack I just had was crazy. So I apologize to anyone who heard that.
Good work. Good work.
Look what Doc's making me do, man.
Doc Rivers has given you so much trauma that your voice quivered at the thought of him still being your coach.
But man, I mean, I would like Steph Curry back. I think that'd be a cool role. I think he'd fit well with Harden and Maxey, And we wouldn't play him as much as we did back in the day where he was getting, 30 minutes a game. Mm-hmm. But I think similar role in the Nets, 15, 20 minutes a game, put up as much threes as you can. I rock with it.
Yeah, I like Seth Curry a lot too for y'all. And just any team that needs a shooter. The defense is rough, but he's going to shoot nearly 40% from 3 every season. And that's just valuable to have in a situation.
I like him on the Lakers if they want a cheap shooter.
I do also like him on the Lakers as some shooting. That's actually a really solid fit that I like. Mm-hmm. A guy I want to shout out is I'm between 2 guys. So how many have I done so far? I've only done 1.
Yeah.
I did Josh Richardson. Okay, I can maybe shout both of these guys. But I'll start with Javon Carter. I like him a lot as a bench guard for a number of teams. He absolutely smoked the Thunder at one point this season. I think he had 36 points. He had 36 points on our heads.
I think I sent you a text, and I wish I could find it, where I said Javon Carter has how many points against y'all right now?
I've never been so frustrated watching a game in my life. I was like, I've never seen Javon Carter act like this.
That was when the Bucks sat all their guys, right, and they still smoked y'all?
No, it was a really like this was
was.
the game that went to overtime. Shea hit what should have been a game winner, and he put us up by 1. And then they had like 8 seconds left or something like that, and they threw a lob to Brook, and Dort fouled him, and so he went to the line, split the free throws. We went to overtime, and we ended up losing in OT. But it was one of the most frustrating games I've ever watched.
Wasn't Giannis
he was cooking us?
Giannis, Drew, and Middleton were all not playing, right?
Yeah, none of them were playing, and
Brook was really the only guy.
Yeah, it was Brook and Javon Carter who were running the show, but he torched us. But that's not like his main appeal. I mean, he has the potential to go off like that and knock down some shots. But the defense is really good from Javon Carter. I think he's going to be a great bench guard, whether he stays with the Bucks or goes somewhere else. You know, again, you don't want to be like your lead guard or anything like that. But as a bench guard, I think he's really incredible value. I like what he brings to the table a lot.
All right, rock with it. All right, my last one we go with is what most people consider the finest looking gentleman in basketball, Kelly Oubre. And despite his dashing
under legend.
Yeah. And we were actually talking about this before the show. Oubre averaged over 20 points a game in Charlotte last year. Am I right?
You said
weren't we talking about 20? That? I think so. It might have been me. I was with my boy Matt at the gym before recording this. It might have been us talking about it.
No, it was us.
It was us?
When I was doing my research for my YouTube video yesterday, I somehow I knew Kelly Oubre was good this past year in Charlotte. You know, I watched a decent number of Hornets games, not a ton because they were really rough to watch. But he put up 20.3 points per game. I thought it was like 18 or 19. I thought it was more around that range. I did not realize he put up over 20 points per game.
How's the efficiency?
Not great. He shot 43% from the field, 31.9% from deep on 7 attempts per game. But it was also him. Like, you don't want Kelly Oubre being a 20-point per game scorer in your team if you're going to bring him in. So,
yeah.
If you put him in a smaller role.
I like him for a mid-level exception. I don't know how much money he's going to get. What was his contract in Charlotte like?
His contract in Charlotte. Let me pull up his contract. I think it was probably around kind of around what the mid-level exception is right now. I think. Yeah, he signed a 2-year, $24 million contract. So about 12
something really similar. I think would go well. It's a team that needs wing scoring. I rock with it big time.
The defense is also solid too. Like, he can do a little bit of both. So, I mean, he's one of those players that, I think he could go to some team for the mid-level exception. You probably don't want him putting up, again, like that many shots per game. That's not really his role, but Charlotte, missing LaMelo Ball for basically the entire season, needed somebody to score buckets. And I do think he'll probably leave Charlotte with, Brandon Miller coming into town. You've also still got Gordon Hayward there. Miles Bridges seems like he's probably going to be coming back to the Hornets this upcoming season. Yeah, PJ Washington's on the market as a restricted free agent, but they might bring him back. Like, they've got a lot of guys to play that 3-4 spot, so I feel like Kelly Oubre probably isn't going to come back. And I think a number of teams out there will be interested. And speaking of Kelly Oubre and the Hornets, one more guy I want to mention is Dennis Smith Jr. Like, he had a resurgence for his career with the Hornets this past season. I want to pull up the exact stats for him. He was really good for the Hornets as a guard. The efficiency is rough. He averaged 8.8 points per game. Shot just 21.6% from deep. The 3-point shooting was rough. But just in terms of a defensive guy, like, his defense was phenomenal for the Hornets. He also averaged 5 assists per game. If he could get the 3-point shooting numbers up and be somewhat efficient, I think you could probably bring him in on a mid-level, or not a mid-level, on a minimum contract just as a bench guard. I think if the efficiency kind of stabilizes with the defense that he brings to the table, why not take a shot on a guy like Dennis Smith Jr.?
Dallas reunion for Dennis Smith Jr.
I wouldn't mind that at all. I saw there was also, I don't know if this was a rumor or if it was just someone speculating, but I also think the Heat, if they lose a guard or they just want a third string type of guy, I feel like he kind of fits that mentality of hard-nosed defender, kind of guy that is trying to prove himself. I think he could be good over there. So, yeah, I like Dennis Smith Jr. as a defensive guard if a team wants to bring someone like that in.
Cool. I'm just going to – there's one more guy I want to shout out just because we were talking about the Lakers earlier. And it's kind of weird the way his season kind of turned around. Lonnie Walker was brought in, and everyone's like, that is such a steal for the Lakers. He's a young player on a team with a bunch of old guys, and he can really get some buckets. And he was doing all right. And then when the Lakers were, going through that rough stretch, they kind of just shoved him aside, they brought in all these other guys. They brought in, D'Lo and Beasley and Rui and all these other scoring options. And they're like, yeah, Lonnie, we good. And they just kind of left him on the bench. And then the playoffs are like, crap, we need buckets. Lonnie, they dusted off the old Lonnie Walker. And they're like, all right, man, I know we kind of did you dirty, but go out.
He stayed ready. He was just ready to go off the bench. And he was really good.
He was their third or fourth best player in a lot of playoff games, which I thought was really funny. So
yeah, I like that value a lot for a number of teams. If you could get him for like a smaller mid-level exception, or you might even be able to get him on a minimum. I don't really know what his market looks like because while he did play well in the playoffs, like you said, he was kind of up and down throughout the season. I know I did 3. One more guy I want to shout is Yuta Watanabe as a shooter. He was one of the best 3-point shooters in the league this past season. For some reason, to me, he feels like a Phoenix Sun. Like, I think he's going to end up there because they need players that can play basketball with it just being like their stars at the moment. And I feel like, I don't know. I think the shooting that he brings to the table, the defense isn't phenomenal. Like, he doesn't do too much outside of shoot really well, but for a Phoenix team that just needs bodies, I think he could be solid over there too. So one more guy I want to shout out real quick. And there's a number of other players.
Montrezl Harrell's going to be a Sun. I'm just calling that now.
That sounds about right. Isn't Andre Drummond a free agent? I feel like he's going to be a Sun.
Is he a free agent?
I think he is a free agent.
Oh, he's not on your list, dude. He's not on your big board.
Man, it's Andre Drummond in 2023.
Bro, if we don't get Paul Reed back, I'll take Drummond back in Philly.
I actually did. There were a number of Sixers fans in the stream today that were like, Andre Drummond. He's got a player option for this season for about 3.36 mil. I don't know if he's accepted or declined that. I don't know.
Some teams are down bad for a backup center and they offer him the taxpayer 5 mil.
Maybe. I don't think that's the worst thing. He was fine in Chicago this past year, but we want to take a quick break now from, I just hit my mic. Hopefully that didn't sound terrible. But we want to take a quick break from the free agency stuff before we get back to it. The next thing we're going to do is some rumors, some players we think that end up getting traded potentially, and then also predicting the landing spots for big free agents. That's kind of the rest of the outlook for the episode. But we do want to take a break real quick to do, some of y'all might have seen this before. You might have heard of the Immaculate Grid if you're a baseball fan, which, by the way, Ryan, I don't know if you've seen what Domingo Germán is doing right now for the Yankees, but I would go take a look at that real quick. We're Yankees fans, by the way.
I'll peep my phone while you tell the great people what we're about to do.
Okay, so there's this thing for baseball called Immaculate Grid where it gives you 3 teams on one side and 3 teams on the other. It's like a 3x3 grid with.
Wait, can I interrupt you real quick? He threw a perfect game, bro.
Oh, he finished?
He threw a perfect game.
Oh, I knew he was perfect through 8. Did he throw a perfect game? Like
he did. Yep, the Yankees just tweeted it out.
That's so crazy,
dude. Now I feel awful because I didn't watch it, but why would I want to watch the Yankees who have been awful play the A's? That sounds awful.
Exactly, that sounds like torture.
And I think there's only been like 30 perfect games in history, and there hasn't been one thrown since 2012, according to Twitter.
Wow, it's really been that long since it was thrown. And it was
there's
Domingo
like
Germán of all people for the Yankees.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shout out to the Yankees legend. Quick baseball talk on here for y'all.
I'm gonna have to go watch that.
I saw the notification on my phone, and I was like, "Oh, he's perfect through 8." I guess that was 12 minutes ago, so that makes sense.
I'm surprised the Yankees were even able to get a run for him. You know what I mean?
I saw a notification right below that, also from Bleacher Report, that said the A's beat the Yankees 2-1. And for a moment, I thought we somehow lost in a perfect game. I'm like, that is physically not possible. What happened? But anyways, there's this thing called Immaculate Grid where it's, it only exists really for baseball at the moment. It's this website where every, kind of like a Wordle type thing where every 24 hours there's a new one, and it gives you 3 teams on one side, 3 teams on another, or occasionally they throw like a stat category in there, and you have to pick a player that's been on both teams, that was on one of the teams and also has hit that stat category. And there's this guy on Twitter, I think Tanner McTanner is like his name, or it's that backwards is his @ on Twitter. He's been making some of these. There's no official website and stuff like that, but he put up a few of them, and we thought it'd be fun to go ahead and try some of these alongside y'all. So I'm gonna see if this works now on the podcast itself. If you're watching on video, I'm gonna pull this up real quick. If you're on audio, you should hopefully just be able to get it kind of as we go. Okay, which one do I want to pull first? Let's pull up this. Is it working? It's working. Okay, cool. So the way this works is we need to pick a player that's been on both the Knicks and the Wizards for the first slot. Imagine like a 3x3 grid here. A player that was has played for the Knicks at some point that was an all-star. A player that's played for the Knicks that's an NBA champion. And same thing with the Rockets. Same thing for the Nets. Just basically goes like that. We've got 3 of these just to kind of take a break from the free agency talk. And I think the way we agreed we were going to do this is go like square by square. So we were going to take turns so we didn't talk over each other.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and start.
Okay, so you first up got to name a player that was on the Knicks, but also was a Wizard.
This is a Knicks and a Wizards legend, Mr. Taj Gibson.
That is correct. Taj Gibson has been both those teams. Hopefully we don't get anything wrong here. We can fact check if need be. I've got an easy one. Player for the Knicks that was an all-star. I mean, I can go with a couple of different names. I'm trying to think if there's anybody we need to save, because there's also, you're not allowed to do duplicates. So I'm just going to go with Carmelo Anthony because we're not going to use him for any of the other slots.
Yes, unfortunately not an NBA champion for the Knicks.
Yeah. Shout out to Melo in retirement.
This one's kind of obscure. I'm gonna go Rockets Wizards, and I'm gonna do Dwight Howard. Very forgettable Wizards year.
Oh yeah, he was a part of the Wizards. That's crazy. What a poll.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I'll go with Knicks NBA champion, and I'm gonna go with Jeremy Lin when he won with the Raptors.
Okay.
So shout out to him. I'm gonna
I
go
like
ahead
that.
and Lin Sanity. Shout out to Jeremy Lin, Raptors legend, Knicks legend.
I like that. That's a good one.
I wish I could edit like players' faces and stuff on here. Wish I had that ability.
I'll take Rockets All-Star. We'll just do James Harden. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, that's an easy enough one.
Also, cannot also go in the NBA champion block, unfortunately. Hopefully next season if he stays in Philly.
Yeah, we're picking non-NBA legends for the non-NBA champions for the All-Star one. NBA champion for the Rockets, it's pretty easy. I'm just going to go with Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah. Nets All-Star. I'll go ahead and I'll take KD.
Take KD. Okay. Have we done Wizards Nets yet?
Nope, we need that, and then an NBA champion that played for the Nets.
Okay, Nets Wizards. I'm going to go with Paul Pierce, who had his big time moment in the Wizards uniform where he called game.
Bro, if you had a gun on my head, I don't think I could have told you that Paul Pierce was a Wizard. I think it would have been.
You don't remember that era, man? That was a crazy. I guess that kind of was like right as you started watching hoops was the Paul Pierce Wizards era.
So was it Celtics, Nets, and Wizards for his playing career?
And then he went to the Clippers where he really did not play whatsoever at the end.
Okay.
Yeah. I think those are the only 4 teams he was ever on.
So last one, he's NBA champion. That's a net?
Or was a net.
Was a net. Oh, man.
There's a few.
They're active?
Yeah. From last season this Nets team from the past year, like, just think about prior to the trades.
Oh, Kyrie.
There you go. Yeah. Could have also said Kevin Durant. If we're going to count his
I said KD for the All-Star, man. Can't repeat.
Oh, that's true. We couldn't repeat. Good call. Okay. So there we go. So that's one complete. Hopefully y'all were able to get that too. Okay. Can I just like switch, or do I have to stop the share screen and then present again?
Don't mind my Xboxes in the corner up there. I just bought this whole setup, so my desk is completely filled with my podcast stuff. So everything else is just chilling on that.
Ryan dropped a rack on his setup today.
I did.
Okay, so for this next one, we've got a player that was on the Thunder and the Celtics, a player that was on the Thunder and the Cavaliers, a Thunder player that had a 25-point per game season, a Blazer Celtic, a Blazer Cav, Blazer that scored 25 points per game, and then a Maverick Celtic, a Maverick Cav, and a 25-point per game score from the Mavs. So which one do you want to go with first?
Thunder Celtic. Give me Sixers legend Mike Muscala.
Sixers legend Mike Muscala. Shout out to him. Okay, I'll just stay on Thunder, I guess. I will do Thunder Cavaliers, and I'll go Dion Waiters.
And I'll go ahead and do Thunder 25-point per game score, and give me Shea.
There you go. Good pick. All right, so Blazers Celtics, I'm going to go with Enes Kanter or Enes Freedom, I guess. He was Enes Kanter when he played for the Blazers, I guess. But yeah, that's the first name that comes to mind.
He was actually kind of nice when he played for Portland before, he kind of went K-Wire. He was a pretty good backup center for them for a while.
Yeah. But you know how that ended.
Yeah, not great. All right, I got one. Portland Cavalier. This is a poll. Give me Rodney Hood.
That's crazy. That is not who I expect you to pull out there. Rodney Hood that's a fire pick.
Did you have someone off the dome for that one?
For that one, I was gonna say Larry Nance.
Okay,
that came to mind for me.
Okay.
Rodney Hood that's sick though. I love that you went with Rodney Hood. Someone bring Rodney Hood back to the league.
I'm saying, man.
Actually, he might have retired. For some reason, I feel like he may have retired. I might be thinking of someone else.
No, I think I want to say he played overseas. I remember him getting. I swear he might have been playing in China or something. I'm
he got to look up Rodney Hood right now. This is.
While you do that, I'll do another. I'll do Portland and 25-point per game. Give me Dame.
There you go.
So you can do 2 after that.
Okay, it doesn't look like he's played anywhere since he was waived by the Clip, or his contract expired with the Lakers last season.
I swear he played overseas somewhere.
Wikipedia does not lie. They've never lied in their entire lives. Don't quote me on that. I'll go with a Maverick and a Celtic. Give me Rajon Rondo.
Okay, I like that.
So we'll go with him. So we need a Mav and a Cav, and then a Mav 25-point per game score.
Hold on, I'm looking at this Rodney Hood thing real quick still. Dude, I swear I saw something that he was playing in China.
Okay, I can go ahead and do, I guess, a Mav and a Cavalier.
Yeah, hit it.
Who's a player that's been on? Darren Williams. Darren Williams was on both those teams.
Okay, and then Mav 25-point per game score. I'll just take Luka.
There you go. Okay. Finished off 2 of them. We can go ahead now and do the third one. Which one have we not
Also,
done
let
yet?
us know if you guys like these, and we can do a video just doing these nonstop.
Yeah, I could do
like 5
these
minutes.
like all the time. Like, I'm sure someone's gonna make a website with them. Again, shout out to that Twitter user for pulling these up. Again, it's like his name's Tanner McTanner, and it's like backwards or something like that. But shout out to him for going ahead and making these. Okay, this one's just straight teams, no stats. We've got a Suns player and a Maverick player, a Suns and a Rockets, a Suns and a Hawks, a King Maverick, a King and a Rockets player, a King Hawk, and then a Heat Mavs, Heat Rockets, and Heat Hawks. Got that in the 3x3 grid. We can go ahead and I can start off with a Suns Mavericks player. Give me Sean Marion as a player for those 2 teams.
I had my player for that was gonna be JaVale McGee.
Also, incredible legend there for the Mavericks. I thought that signing was going to be super good this past season. I'm so sad it didn't work out.
I thought that was like very low key underrated signing, but
yeah, I guess not.
I'm gonna blame Jason Kidd on that one.
He ruined JaVale McGee. He ruined Christian Wood. Who's next? Dwight Powell's a free agent, so he could be free of the Mavericks at this point.
Give me Mavericks Kings. I'll do Harrison Barnes.
Okay, that's a good one. Let's see. What other player? Give me Suns Rockets. I'm going to do Chris Paul.
Okay. Now here's where it's getting. I'll take Kings Hawks. I'll do Kevin Huerter.
Okay. So we still need Suns Hawks, Kings Rockets.
Yep, and then all the Heat ones.
Yeah, and then all the Heat ones. Yeah, I really wish there's a way I could like add players to this somehow. Like that'd be nice. Or if I could just like write a name in on my computer. Okay, so we need a Suns. We need a Suns Hawks player, right?
Yep.
Okay, so who has played for both the Hawks and the Suns? Let's see.
Oh, I got a crazy poll.
You got a crazy. If you have one for someone,
I have 2 crazy polls.
You can go ahead and say it if you have someone for that.
Kings Hawks, give me Mo Harkless.
And
I like it. Hawks, give me Solomon Hill.
Shout out Solomon Hill, our guy Matt, big Heat fan. That's his favorite player.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's see. Heat. I can do Heat Rockets real quick. Actually, can I off the top of my... I'm trying to think of a couple of players. You got a couple
of those. Man, because no Rockets players fit Heat culture, at least right now.
Yeah, who's a player that played for both the Heat and the Rockets? I'm trying to think of players on the roster right now, but I'm going to have to bounce back to past players. So we have those 2 Heat ones and then Kings Rockets, right? Kings Rockets, Heat Rockets.
We never did a Suns Hawk.
Oh, we didn't. Did we not do a Suns Hawk?
Nope.
Oh.
You were stuck on that one when I named.
Oh, okay.
Mo Harkless and.
This is why I need the ability to add players to this. Yeah. Okay, think of a Suns Hawk. I want to pull out like a Rodney Hood type of poll like you had at this point. That's what I'm trying to do.
It makes it better.
It does make it better when it's the most obscure guys. I'm stumped on that one. I'm going to move down to... I don't know. I'm kind of stumped on all these at the moment. I'm not coming up with any names at the moment.
So we need what? Heat Mav. I'll go Josh Richardson.
Oh, okay. There you go. Was Josh Richardson? Oh, he was a Maverick because y'all traded Seth Curry for him.
Yep.
Yep, that was a good one. So we need Heat Rockets. We need Suns Hawks. Is that it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Wait, did we do Kings Rockets? I don't think we did that one.
Kings Rockets.
No, I don't think we did that one.
Nope.
Okay, so Kings Rockets, Heat Rockets, Hawks Suns. A Kings Rockets player.
Oh, I got. You ready for this poll?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Ben McLemore.
Ben McLemore is a fantastic poll. That's a good one. Okay, so we just need Heat Rockets and Suns Hawks at this point. You're kind of carrying on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Heat Rockets players.
I got one. I got a couple actually. You want obscure or not?
Go obscure. Obscure is better.
All right, Kelly Olynyk.
He was a Rocket. He was sick as a Rocket too. He went off as a Houston Rocket. That was crazy. He put up like 19 points per game at the end of the season.
Is he still in the Jazz?
Yes, he's still in the Jazz, I think. Okay. He might be a free agent. I don't think so.
I don't know. He's on your list.
Whatever, man.
He wasn't if he is a free agent, underrated. I like that. Or even in a trade. I like him as a backup center stretch option.
He is not a free agent, right? Yeah, he's not a free agent. He's a free agent next year. Okay, so I got that one right. You can't hit me for that one. All right, Suns Hawk player. Let's think. Who are some guys? I feel like there was. I think I'm envisioning like a backup guard that was part
Yeah.
of the Hawks for a bit. I thought of a player. Let me check real quick if he was actually a Hawk. I need to check this real quick before I mention him.
I don't know if it's Immaculate the Grid. You only get a guess, and if you're wrong, then you're just screwed.
How it works? I've never played. Okay, yeah, no, this is okay. The guess would have been right. Jamal Crawford is the player that came to mind.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so there we go. Okay, so we completed that one. Those are the 3 that we had. Again, if you want to see us do more of this, we could do like a full YouTube video of this. I wouldn't mind at all. We have fun doing these, but yeah, okay, I'll go ahead and throw this back in this layout, but we can go ahead now and get back to the free agency talk. And now we have the rumor mill, kind of just some rumors that have been popping up over the past few days. Ryan put together a few of them. I added a couple at the end here. And the first one we should probably talk about is Draymond is apparently meeting with Dame, or at least he's getting dinner with him in Portland. I think tonight there was a report. I don't remember who it came from. It was like a friend of Dame's or something like that, or someone who's kind of connected with people in Portland. And they said that a friend of theirs was going to go to dinner apparently at this restaurant, but actually Damian Lillard rented the entire thing out and they were having a dinner, him and Draymond tonight. So it feels like a pitch, and Damian Lillard was asked, or there's a report that one of his dream like team outcomes would be if the Blazers could bring in him and bring back Jeremy Grant, which I don't know how they're gonna have the money to do that unless the Warriors are willing to take on a Yusuf Nurkic Simon trade, which feels strange. Or I guess maybe Anthony Simons, but I think trading Anthony Simons away feels like a mistake. And why would the Warriors want another guard? It doesn't feel like it's possible, but I mean, Draymond does make the Blazers better. I don't think he makes them a championship contender at all. Like, is a team with Dame, like say they trade, let's go with Simons, because I think it makes more sense for the Warriors. Or I guess Nurkic would, but they probably just don't want Yusuf Nurkic. Does a team of Dame, Scoot, like Jeremy Grant, Draymond Green, and Nurkic like move you at all in
Absolutely
the West? It team does. I think they're a playoff team. That team does not move me as a championship contender. That does nothing for me. Nope. Like I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense. Again, we're both kind of sick of the Damian Lillard rumors and stuff like that, but this one is, I guess, interesting with Draymond being a free agent that maybe could leave after being in Golden State his entire career, being such an integral part there. We'll talk more about where we think Draymond's going to go in a bit, but yeah, that's the first thing that popped up.
You blow it up, you build around Scoot and Sharp, and you go from
Please.
there,
they're going to bring Scoot off the bench, and it's going to hurt me so bad.
The sad thing is so many rebuilding teams have to start from scratch, and they have 2 great pieces already, and they're good. You trade Dame, you trade.
I would say they've got 3 between Scoot, Shaedon Sharpe, and Anthony Simons. I think all of them are solid.
Simons goes too, man.
I guess you could theoretically trade Simons, but I mean, he could be like the leading guy in your team. And I think a backcourt of him and Scoot is really fun. You put Shaedon at the 3. You're not going to win a lot of games, but it's going to be fun at least, and you're building towards something.
It's like the Rockets if they had some discipline.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's just they're going to take like. I'm so sick of the Damian Lillard stuff. I think they're just going to try and build around him. I just don't think there's any realistic path to this Blazers team becoming a championship contender unless they trade for a superstar and they give up like Scoot, Simons, Shaedon Sharpe, like a couple of those pieces. And I think that would be a massive mistake because even then, like you're not guaranteed because then your depth is garbage. So not a fan, but
no offense to Dame. I don't know if he is your first or second best player is going to win you championship.
If he's got a great supporting cast, he could. I mean, he just had one of the best seasons of his career, but he is getting older. Like, we saw him like make a conference finals run. I think if you put 2 stars around him, he could, but it's unproven. Plus, like you think about these teams that they could put together. Again, is that Dame, Jeremy Grant, like Draymond Green, like team? Are they at all competing with the Denver Nuggets? Like they don't stand a chance.
Nope.
They can't do anything. So I don't get it. If you're a Blazers fan, let us know what y'all are thinking about this. Good news for Ryan. The Sixers are apparently operating as if James Harden is staying, according to Brian Windhorst. And I think it was Kelly Iko, who's a Rockets reporter. He was saying that it seems like the Rockets have kind of moved on from James Harden, or at least they're backing off a little bit. It seems unlikely at this point that he goes to Houston. He'll probably go to the Sixers. It's just a matter of money and what the length of the contract is. And apparently the Rockets are moving on to Fred VanVleet. And there was a rumor that they could offer him like 2 years, 80 mil or something like that. So
I honestly don't hate that. If they keep it to 2 years, I don't hate that because I got to pay someone something. And then after 2 years, when hopefully the rest of your guys are, primed to compete, then you're going to have 40 mil coming off the books.
I guess so,
I don't
man,
hate it.
I think it's so much better if you pay a few guys rather than because Fred
I
Van
don't.
they've
I
got
actually I disagree because you needed the whole point of the Rockets is they don't need to pay people. They need to develop who they got because nobody that they're going to pay for is going to make them win a title. What's going to potentially win them a title is if Şengün, Jalen Green, Thompson, Tari Eason, all these young guys that they got. I'm probably missing some other ones, but if
you
all
got the
if
main
these
guys.
guys we get really
Jabari
good,
Smith.
Jabari Smith. I mean, we're out to lunch on Jabari Smith.
Hey, I shout Jabari Smith. I think getting a better playmaker like Amin Thompson is going to help his game a lot in his second season.
But as I was saying,
but that also I don't. It's part of the reason why I didn't like the James Harden idea because I think you should develop Amin Thompson as your lead guard right away. I don't think bringing in Fred VanVleet, who again I worry about with the age and the injuries and stuff, and paying him $40 million. I would rather pay like 2 or 3 like solid free agents, a little bit money. Like apparently the rumors that they're looking to bring Dylan Brooks, who I actually think is solid for that team. I don't think he's bad at all. They need some defense. There's rumors that they're trying to throw Brook Lopez money. I don't love that because I think Şengün should operate as your starting big. I don't think bringing him off the bench is a great way to develop his game. But I don't know. I think you'd be better off trying to throw a couple of guys money rather than throwing Fred VanVleet $40 million a year. Like he's not worth that. I would throw Fred VanVleet like $20 to $25 million at this point.
I'm still taking Freddie or just a not getting as many people just because I think there's only so many touches to go around. And when you're trying to develop young players, you need them to get all the touches. If you sign, I don't know, this is so hypothetical. Let's say you brought in Karis LeVert and Max Strus with your money. Those are a lot of guys that demand the ball. And it's just when you're trying to develop these young people, I just feel like you need as many touches for them as possible. Like if you could bring in guys that would demand less, I kind of like Jeremy Grant for them, even though he kind of demanded.
I also like Jeremy Grant for them. I mean, but he's kind of like a connecting piece, which I think, in my opinion, those are the players the Rockets should be looking for are connecting pieces. Like Dylan Brooks, just going to add some defense to the table. He's going to like to take a lot of shots, but maybe after the way stuff ended with Memphis, maybe he's not going to do, that much, or he's going to come down a little bit. I think Harrison Barnes would be fine for the Rockets. I think if you're going to bring in some vets and use your cap space, I don't want it to be a guy like Fred VanVleet who is like he's going to be your lead ball handler. He's going to demand the ball and take away from Amin Thompson. So I don't know. I just don't love the idea of Fred VanVleet. I don't again, if you're going to sign him, do it to a shorter term deal like you're talking about. I think signing him to a 2-year deal is better than, you sign him to like a 4-year deal for
absolutely. I'm not giving him more than 2 years.
I would prefer if I'm the Rockets to give him 2 years, $80 million than 4 years, $80 million. I'd rather pay him the $40 million for the 2 seasons than $20 or $25 million for 4 years. So I think I see what you're saying, but I think in my opinion, I think while they should spend the cap somewhere, I'm more so on go for younger guys at this point. Mm-hmm. That kind of, shore up your defense, and they're not going to take away a bunch of touches.
Mm-hmm. So to our hour and a half time mark, a lot of the stuff we have here in the rumor mill, we've already kind of talked about to some detail. Mm-hmm. So if you want to just pick one more you want to talk about, and then I'll pick one I want to talk about, and then we'll go on to our last 1 or 2 things we're going to talk about.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, on here we have Tobias, talk about him staying or going. We talked a good bit about Tobias Harris. We mentioned Christian Wood is linked to Miami. That's something else. We talked a bit about Harrison Barnes and the Pacers. I think that's a solid fit. He's been rumored there, as well as Max Strus potentially being an option for them. Apparently a lot of teams are interested in Max Strus.
I don't get the hype, man.
I mean, if you're just giving him a few mil, I don't mind that. I mean, if it's your full
few mil, 16 is not a few mil though.
I mean, that's 5 per year. That's fine for Max.
No. He wanted I'm sorry, 16. That was an AAV.
That was 3 for 16 mil a year. Okay, that is a lot more.
Yeah, 3 for 48 is what.
Okay, that's a decent bit more. I don't hate it.
Oh, I hate it. Absolutely hate it.
I don't hate it, but it is a good bit of money for Max Strus, I will say.
That's another one of those things. If you gave him 2 years for 32, I wouldn't hate it. But I don't want.
The length is a lot. Yeah. I think that's kind of the problem that you saw with Duncan Robinson, where Duncan Robinson kind of revived his career, but you gave him a lot of money, but it was also for multiple seasons. You wanted to lock him up long term, but sometimes that comes back to bite teams, and players when they're negotiating are going to go for those longer term deals to make sure they get that money. So. Okay, I thought it was 3 for $60 million. You're not going to pay Max Strus $5 million a year. I'm why not? That's a great value for him. Okay, that makes more sense.
48, yeah, 16 is AAV.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess we can talk a little bit about the Lakers. D'Angelo Russell, kind of them Do they bring back D'Lo? Do they not? According to reports, Rob Pelinka and the Lakers want to bring back some consistency with this roster, which I think is good. They went star hunting with Russ. It didn't end up working out because it was just a terrible fit in general. And now they're going to try and stay consistent. They're going to bring back Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura. That's their game plan, as well as D'Angelo Russell. So I think that makes sense to bring back D'Lo. I mean, you're not going to have to pay him that much because he really tanked his value in the playoffs. I think you could probably bring him back for like $12 to $15 million at this point. I think there's also going to be some teams that probably offer him like some money. The Jazz are one team that I think could potentially throw D'Lo
especially if Clarkson opts out.
Yeah, like if Clarkson, like they need a point guard. They don't have one since they traded Mike Conley. So if they bring him in and, he just provides a little bit of playmaking, some three-point shooting.
That's so gross, man.
I mean, he's just more of a playmaker. Like you don't want to run. They were running Taylor Horton Tucker at the 1 for a majority of the end of last season. He's not really your future point guard. So I don't think, offering D'Lo, especially if you can do like a 1 year, like say you give D'Lo like 1 year, 20 mil and you're like, okay, prove it. Like, let's see what you can do type of thing. Like you outbid some of those other teams and bring in a point guard. I don't hate that for either D'Angelo Russell or the Jazz. So I think that's one spot, but
I don't hate Freddie VanVleet on the Jazz either.
I don't hate that either. I mean, again, there are all the concerns that we mentioned before. If you can get him on a shorter term deal specifically, I think that's good.
2 for $60. I like that for him.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fine. I'd want to pay him a little bit less, but if you're having to outbid other teams, which I don't know what the market is on Fred VanVleet at this point. But yeah, I mean, I think there are better options out there for the point guard spot for the Lakers, but I don't think it's really in this free agency class. Like they can't bring in Fred VanVleet. Kyrie's not going to go there. James Harden's not going to go there. Like, I think he's probably the most attainable guy that makes sense. Bring him back. And if he's not great, you could trade him at the deadline potentially and upgrade with like a pick or something. So I think they'll probably just bring him back. And that probably is the route that they should go.
All right. So, but before we do our predictions for our landing spots for our free agents, let's go ahead and do. Each of us are going to give a bold prediction for a player we think is going to get traded, and where they're going to go, so we can clip it if it somehow happens.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, what predictions for players getting traded?
Just one. Give me one. One big player. I'm talking like top 30 player.
Top 30 player. Okay, now I got to go through my ranking list in my head.
I got 2 in mind. One of them you texted me about. I don't know if that's the one you want to do.
No, you can go ahead. You go for whoever.
No, I'll say it for you. You texted me about one that you were thinking about.
Who did I text you about? When was this? Is this like today?
Ago. No, 2 days ago.
2 days ago?
Yeah.
What player did I text you about? You go ahead and say them because I remember what player.
You're telling me about Paul George.
Oh, that is true. Paul George, is apparently in some rumors. I forgot that I texted you about that. Yeah, Paul George. We'll see if he gets moved. I mean, do you predict that he does get traded?
No. This might be a very casual question here, but is Kawhi good to go for the next season?
Actually, I mean, that's not a bad question because he just had I think he had a surgery that might keep him out the start of training camp, and there's a potential that he's not ready to begin the next year. So,
dude, with the way Kawhi's injury history has been, man, like you can give it one more chance, but I feel like the way the Clippers are so down bad on assets right now that I mean, as a Thunder fan, considering you own most of them, not you, but your team, you do not.
Me specifically,
I'll make the deals. Does not own the assets for the Clippers, but if you really don't feel confident in Kawhi coming back and you think your window is closing, man, I say screw it, do it. I don't think they're gonna do it because Steve Ballmer is not the type of guy to do that.
Yeah, he's one of those owners that like really wants to win. They've also got a new stadium opening next year, so it feels like they're going to try and keep this thing going till then. But apparently Paul George is rumored to be out there. And I mean, with him being hurt, with Kawhi Leonard being hurt a lot too, maybe you look for a more reliable option out there. I don't know who it is. Like, who's going to make you better when if Paul George is healthy, I don't see many guys out there in the market that are going to make you substantially better that you're going to be able to get at this point, especially because, again, like the Thunder own basically all their draft picks for the future. You just don't have a lot of assets at this point. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to end up getting moved. There was the rumor that the Cavaliers were interested in potentially moving on from Jared Allen, and Brian Windhorst was saying there's something big brewing in Cleveland. So, I mean, maybe Jared Allen gets traded at some point, but I don't think they're going to move on from that duo at this point. I think it's too early to move on from the Mobley-Allen duo. I know it wasn't great in the playoffs, and probably the long-term outlook for the Cavaliers is bringing a better floor stretching big to put next to Mobley, or eventually just move Mobley to the 5 if he bulks up. But for right now, I think it's just too premature to go ahead and blow that one up. So I don't know. I'm not really sure about the Cavaliers in that front, and I think he could be traded, but to me, it feels like Paul George being dealt is, again, something. It doesn't feel like Steve Ballmer is going to do that.
All right, I'm gonna throw out my player here. I'm gonna go Pascal Siakam gets traded,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going to either the Kings or Cleveland.
I like the Kings spot for him a lot. That's
I
a spot I
think
really like for him.
I think if they swing and miss or decide that Jeremy Grant or Kuzma isn't the option for them there, and they decide and they're completely gone with like they're completely waving away Harrison Barnes into the sunset, then I like them there. And I also like them, like I said. What did I just say? Why am I just blanking?
You like Siakam on the Kings and the
I just totally
Cavaliers.
drew a blank. I was thinking Western Conference. I was like, what other Western team did I say? No, Cleveland. And I could see them doing a Jarrett Allen and maybe like another some assets for Siakam. And then they move Mobley over to the 5, like you were saying.
Yeah, and the
And
Raptors.
Siakam played a lot of small ball 5 for Toronto as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think him and Mobley would be perfectly fine running a 4-5 there.
That could work. That's interesting.
It's enough shooting too. That. Like it's not the best shooting, but I mean it's
the spacing's still kind of concerning,
better,
but you've also got to fill out the depth too. Like,
but then when you have Garland and Donovan Mitchell, who are volume 3-point shooters when needed, and then you have Siakam, who's very viable. He's viable out there a lot more than Allen. He at least gives you a look, and a lot more different looks on offense too.
That's true. Siakam can kind of help your offense. You know, they relied a lot on their guards to create offense.
I think that's a pretty sick team too. I think that'd be a really cool squad.
I like it. I like that potential. Yep. And then I guess in that situation, Jakob Poeltl gets traded somewhere else as well from the Raptors, which I think them trading for him was so weird at the deadline. And apparently they're trying to re-sign him, so we'll see. But yeah, I think a player I'll go ahead and say is, I just had a name and now I've completely lost it. I hate this. Who was the player I was going to say gets dealt? Okay, let me go back through my DeAndre Ayton. That's the name I was going to say. I know right now the reports are that they're not interested, or they're interested in moving him for the right price, but they're going for it as if they're going to keep him. I think he eventually gets moved. I'm going to go ahead and say that.
Where's he going?
I don't know.
You got to give me a spot so we can clip. I want one of these to get clipped where we look like genies, and then we post on Twitter, it goes viral, and people.
Well, the Suns and Mavericks apparently, according to reports, talked about DeAndre Ayton deal. And I do think they've got some pieces that are interesting.
That's crazy, bro. Kyrie going to be a Sun? I'm just kidding.
I do think it's interesting to add a big like Ayton over there in Dallas. I think it makes a lot of sense for them. I just don't know if there are enough pieces over there. Plus, they added Rashawn Holmes as a big 2, so I don't know if they're quite interested in that. So I don't know if I want to say them.
I see the vision here because the Mavericks do have a lot of expensive role players.
They like Tim Hardaway Jr. I think would be someone in that deal.
Yeah, you could throw Hardaway, Kleber, maybe like one other player that gives the Suns all their depth.
Mm-hmm. Like if you just felt the depth a little bit, that could be interesting for the Suns.
I can see it.
Maybe you try and revive JaVale McGee over there if you bring him in, because I don't think he's a free agent. I'm pretty sure they signed him to a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me look. I'm gonna look at the NBA standings real quick and see if there's another team I want to predict other than the Mavericks. But I think I'm gonna say I'm just gonna go with that. I'm gonna say that deal gets revived and that DeAndre Ayton ends up being a Maverick. Let's go with that. That'll be my start prediction.
All right, and while we're on predictions, we're gonna rapid fire these so we can go ahead and wrap this up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say the name. You say your team. I'll say my team. We can maybe say a 1-sentence spiel if we want, but we're gonna keep this quick. All right.
Okay.
James Harden.
He's gonna be a Sixer. There was all the rumors about Houston. I think those have kind of died down now. This is his best chance to win by far. Play alongside the MVP. Also, he apparently was not a big fan of Doc Rivers, and I think that probably
neither was I, James. I don't blame you.
You and him he's just like you. But I think that probably played a role in, you've both got beards and you don't like Doc Rivers. That's your 2 similarities there. Yeah, I think he's going to be a Sixer.
I'm going Philly too. Kyrie.
Mavericks, there's not a lot of options out there for him. I think he could take some meetings. Like, where's he going to go? Utah? Like, I don't know. With the unpredictability with him and also, the Mavericks being able to offer money and a potential chance of winning next to Luka, I would be stunned if he went anywhere else.
Kyrie's going to be a Laker.
Okay. We'll see. You're getting bold.
Yep. All right. Do Middleton and Lopez leave the Bucks? I'm going now.
I'm going to say no too. I think they come back.
I think Christian Wood goes to Miami.
I'm going to say Miami too.
What would be your 2 spot? Let's do a backup spot. What
backup spot for Christian Wood?
I'm going Toronto.
Philadelphia 76ers.
No, that sucks.
Philadelphia 76ers.
No,
I said it.
That's crazy.
Or New York Knicks. That's another spot I'm going to go with.
Nah, I'm going Toronto. He's going to get signed to some random team, just try to get some value up.
Could also see that. The Timberwolves add a fourth center to their roster.
Nah, I'm dead. Fred VanVleet.
Rockets. I think it's going to happen.
Indiana Pacers.
Why would they sign him?
Play with Haliburton.
They've got Benedict Mathurin.
He's a bench mob. Come on now. He's a 6-man.
Brian is going off the rails. I think he's going to be a Houston Rocket.
If I've known anything about the NBA, man, is this can be unpredictable. So let's have some fun with it.
Okay.
I'm not getting paid to make these picks. I'm not writing articles. No, I mean, who cares if they're wrong? I'm making my guesses.
That's true. If you're right, you look like a genius.
If I'm wrong, so are most people, so it's okay. Draymond.
I'm gonna say he's Golden State.
I'm gonna say Golden State too. I don't think you deal pool if Draymond is leaving.
That's also it, and I think he stays there. I think there's a chance he could leave if he's like, I want to prove myself elsewhere and show that, hey, I'm not like a system player for the Warriors. I can do the stuff that I do here elsewhere. But I don't think he's gonna leave Steph and Clay.
Jeremy Grant. While you think about it, I think the Rockets throw him a freaking massive bag, and that's where he goes. I got Freddie going to the Pacers, Jeremy Grant going to the Rockets.
I'm going to be boring again and say he stays with the Blazers. I think they're going to try and do this thing around Dame, even though I don't know if they're going to build a team that makes him happy. I think they're going to try, and they're going to throw Jeremy Grant a lot of money.
Grant, bro. We saw what he did with the Pistons. The Nuggets offered him a lot less money.
Actually, you know what? I might go bold with this. I'm going to say the Sacramento Kings. I'm going to say they steal him away. I'm going to switch it up.
I'm going Kuzma to the Kings. So that's why I'm going Kuzma to the Kings, Jeremy Grant to the Rockets. Where are you having Kuzma go then?
I don't know, man. There's like the teams with cap space, like it just doesn't make a lot of sense for Kuzma at a lot of these spots.
So you need someone to go to the Pacers. So I'd say that's probably where you put him.
Yeah, I guess I'll say Kuzma goes to the Pacers. I think that's a fine spot for him to go.
Harrison Barnes. Detroit basketball.
Honestly, that feels like a spot he would end up.
I like that.
Who's the team that could use their mid-level exception on him? Part of me is tempted to say the Lakers end up using their mid-level exception on Harrison Barnes. I'm going to go with the Lakers. There's absolutely no reason for why. I'm just going to go ahead and say the Lakers. And I think he'd be good on that team.
Kelly Oubre.
A number of teams could use him. I saw someone, this would have to be a sign and trade of some sort because they don't have cap space, but someone commented on my free agency video with the Grizzlies, and I really like that fit for him because they kind of need that 3. So I'm going to go ahead and say them in a sign
I like trade. That too. I kind of rock with that.
Me too. I saw that and I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense. Like I like that pickup a lot.
I'm going to go to Pelicans. I don't know how the heck they make it work. But it's just vibes.
I mean, I don't mind that.
Yep.
I think he'd be really good off the bench for them.
Absolutely, I agree. They don't really have a bench scoring. I mean, they got Trey Murphy, but yeah. I don't know. I kind of like it.
Trey Murphy's gonna be so good. I mean, he already is so good, but yeah. I think he's a breakout player for me.
Absolutely. All right, Kevin Love.
I think he just stays in Miami. I don't think there's gonna be that much interest.
I think so too, even if they get Christian Wood. And then my other pick's gonna be Dallas.
I could see Dallas bringing him in to just provide some more spacing.
Yep.
I mean, they already have a million offensive guys.
Or Phoenix. If Phoenix.
That's true. Phoenix is actually a really interesting spot for Kevin Love. If they can get him for a minimum, I'd actually like that a lot.
And I think my last one is I could see Milwaukee going for him.
I could also see Milwaukee going for him too. But
he could fit next to Giannis.
I'm going to say Miami is the place that he ends up.
I'm going to go Phoenix.
I like it.
Caris LeVert.
I think he just goes back to the Cavs. Their bench is super weak. They need somebody over there. I'm going to say he just stays there.
Give me someone if they don't sign him back.
If they don't re-sign him, who would go after Caris LeVert?
I'm going to go Phoenix again. They desperately need bench people. They do a sign and trade. I don't know who the heck they have contracts on.
For some reason, that feels kind of right. Like it feels like he would end up there. Just use like an exception on him.
Yeah. I
mean, again, I don't know what his value really is to a lot of these teams. So, especially because there are some bigger names that I could see other teams going with. I think he's just going to stay a Cav. If I've got to pick someone else, I don't know, man. A lot of these teams just don't feel like they need a Caris LeVert, really. Yeah, I don't know. Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's throw that out there.
That's ugly, but I like it.
it's such a strange fit. It doesn't make
Dante
much sense. But
DiVincenzo. I'm sticking with the Nuggets. I like that a lot. I think Bruce Brown's going to walk for a bag, and that's where he's going.
I also really like that spot. But I'll switch it up. I'll go somewhere else. I'm gonna say he goes to the Knicks.
And speaking of Bruce Brown, the other big fat stash of money the Rockets have is going to Bruce.
Going to Bruce. I think
4
he's got
for
that.
80 for Bruce.
I think he's got that taste of a championship. I think he wants to stay on a championship contending team. I don't know if it's the Nuggets because I don't know if they have as much money to offer him. I'm trying to think of teams that aren't in the taxpayer exception that could offer him a decent bit of money.
I don't think he's going for 12, man. I think he's going to have to get more than that.
Maybe
if there's sign and trade possibilities, but I don't know, man. I don't think the 12 million gets him. Definitely not the 5 million.
I think you could probably get Bruce Brown for 12. I think you could probably pull that off.
I don't know, man. I think there's going to be some really mid teams throwing him not mid amount of money.
I've seen the Lakers are apparently like really wanting to throw him a bag. That would be perfect for them. Bruce Brown's gonna be one of the best pickups of the offseason. Where is Bruce Brown gonna go? Who isn't paying the luxury tax? That's the question. Like who actually has the full MLE to throw at him? Let's go with
Atlanta. Atlanta's not anymore.
That's who they trade John. Yeah, we didn't even talk about the John Collins trade. He got traded for Rudy Gay. The Jazz have $1 billion power forwards now.
Definition of a mid trade.
Yeah, it's not. It's whatever. His value just wasn't that much anymore. Where is Bruce Brown going to go? You know what? I'm going to say he stays with the Nuggets. I'm just going to say he kind of takes the pay cut for the year and then gets the big extension. I'm going to say he stays there.
Where did you say for Dante? The Knicks?
I said the Knicks, yeah.
Okay. Jakob Poeltl.
Yeah, I'm also trying to remember my other predictions so I don't overlap them. I could just say everyone's going to one spot and then get them all right. Or get one of them right. I'm going to say Jakob Poeltl just stays with the Raptors. I think they just go ahead and keep him.
I think I wouldn't be surprised either, but I think I could see Charlotte signing him, pairing him with Mark Williams.
Just going ahead and getting a big.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Jordan Clarkson if he opts out.
Jordan Clarkson if he opts out.
I like this for Memphis.
I do like the idea of bringing a bucket getter like him off the bench from Memphis.
He's basically what Dylan Brooks thought he was.
If Dylan Brooks was a good scorer, but also could not play defense. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Bringing him in as a
helps fill the scoring void while Jaw's gone.
Let's see.
Like he'd fit well with JJJ and Steven Adams.
I'm gonna say. I don't know if they have. I don't know what their MLE looks like. Let's go with the Bucks. Maybe they have to trade someone. I know they've been rumored to be trying to get off Grayson Allen's money, so maybe they just do like a sign and trade like that. But
Grayson Allen's a Grizzlies legend.
He was was he on the Jazz too? Wasn't he drafted by the Jazz?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Jazz legend returns.
So here's a quick question because we haven't really mentioned them at all. We've mentioned, I think, at least every other team that has money. But what about the Spurs, man? Because they have a lot of money too, don't they?
Yeah,
but
they do.
I can't see them signing anybody though.
I mean, I could see someone I think they could potentially throw money at is like a Grant Williams, like a restricted free agent like him. Because that's another player that we haven't talked about yet very much. Apparently Dallas is super interested in him as well, potentially in a sign and trade. I could see like a restricted free agent like him. Where's some other restricted free agents out there? I could see them tossing money I would like PJ Washington a lot for the Spurs, like bringing a restricted free agent like that. I think they'll probably just throw money at guys like that.
I think so too. I think they go more so for those types of guys rather than.
Yeah, I think they throw money. I could also see like them throwing money at a couple of these, like maybe some of these guards, just try and bring in some because they could use some more guard play. Like Trey Jones is a restricted free agent. He's been their point guard for this.
I can see Fred VanVleet going over there.
That is actually something I saw someone talking about on Twitter. I can't remember who. I don't know if he feels like a Spurs player, but if they've just got money to spend and they want a playmaker for Victor Wembanyama, I don't hate the Spurs picking up.
I'll change my pick. Freddie's going to be a Spur.
Okay. What was the last one you said? You said he was going to be like a
Pacer.
Yeah, this one works a lot better. I'm glad you changed that pick.
All right, and last one we got on here is Beasley.
I think the Lakers just pick up his team option and use him as trade bait.
What's this team option worth?
Like 10 mil.
I don't know, man. They kind of ditched him at the end.
I mean, but they won't have much tradable salary if they let him walk. I think they just pick him up and try and combine him and Mo Bamba's contract at some point. I'm just
Okay.
gonna go with
I can see that.
that. But yeah, are there any other? I mean, I guess kind of we can talk quickly about some restricted free agents. Austin Reeves, he's going to be a Laker again. They're going to match whatever he gets offered. I think some team offers him like 4 years, 100 mil roughly, and he gets paid that for the Lakers, which I don't think is that bad. He was really good. He was their third best player for this whole season. So
I think a team's gonna throw Reeves a lot of money. I think he's due for a big payday. I think the Lakers are gonna have to end up matching him.
yeah, they're gonna have to match whatever he gets offered. I agree. I think a payday is
Speaking
coming.
of getting matched, we talked about this prior to the recording of this, but we both think that Cam Johnson is going to get a lot of money from a team that has a lot of money to spend, and the Nets are going to probably get him back because I don't think you make that trade and have him as like the second piece other than the picks and not bring him back.
Yeah, the rumors are that maybe the Pistons could toss him a lot of money. I think there was something like 4 years, like 100 mil, like kind of what Austin Reeves is looking at too, which is kind of steep, mainly because Cam Johnson's, I think, 26, 27 at this point. And it doesn't feel like he's got upside, of course, but it doesn't feel like his ceiling is much higher than the player he is right now.
I agree.
So
he is what he is.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. Like, he's huge for that team, and I think he could be a great contributor elsewhere. But I think the Pistons are going to toss him a bag, and the Nets are going to have a hard decision to make about whether they want to let him walk and not pay him that much money. But I think they ultimately do match him. So I agree with that. Rui Hachimura, I think the Lakers also bring him back. I don't think he's not going to get as much money as like an Austin Reeves, but I could see him getting offered like 15 mil a year from some team, like maybe 4 years, 60. And I think that's perfect value for Rui Hachimura, what he did with the playoff or in the playoffs for the Lakers this past year.
All right. So before we end the show, there's one player that I don't know how we didn't mention yet. Where's Mason Plumlee going to go, Connor?
That's true. Good old Mason Plumlee. I don't know, man.
I think he might save the Clippers. He was pretty good for them as a backup.
Yeah, I thought he was a fine backup big. Like, I mean, if they're looking for some depth, I think staying with the Clippers is a good option.
I low-key like him in Philly. Not gonna lie.
He's a good backup center. I would not want him as my starting center, but as a backup big, I don't mind him in Philly either. Yeah, I think also if the Heat don't get like a guy like Christian Wood or someone else like that, I could also see them bringing Mason Plumlee as a guy for the Heat.
Improvement over Cody Zeller.
Yeah, most guys on this list would be. So, but yeah, I think that's kind of rounding out our free agency preview. Yeah. So if there's any players we didn't mention that you want to know our opinions on or kind of where we think they're going to go, let us know in the comment section down below. Also, let us know where you think some of these players are going to go, and we'll react to some of your comments. And if you get them right, when we do our next podcast episode, which will be reacting to free agency, or at least the beginning of it, because it's obviously going to go for a little while, we'll go ahead and shout out those of y'all that made those calls. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure there isn't anyone that we glossed over. We didn't talk much about Gabe Vincent. I think he just goes back to the Heat. I don't think they let him walk.
I agree.
Jay Crowder is an interesting piece because he didn't play much for the Bucks. I think there was a number of places that he could go to. I could honestly see him as a Sixer for like a minimum contract.
He's going back to Miami.
That's also something I could absolutely see. Did we talk a little bit about Jalen McDaniels for y'all? I think we talked a little bit about him.
No, but I think Philly ends up taking him unless one of the, I was reading an article. Someone said they think the Wizards throw him a bag.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get like
by a bag. I mean, like they might throw him like $8 or $9 million a year.
Yeah, a bag for Jalen McDaniels as compared to Sixers throwing like a minimum or something. But yeah, I think that's everyone. I know Matisse Thybulle also got a qualifying offer from the Blazers, so he's a restricted free agent. I think they'll probably just bring him back, add some defense to that team. They did not give a restricted free agency offer or qualifying offer to Cam Reddish, so he's an unrestricted free agent. I'm not one of the big believers in Cam Reddish. I think he's fine. Like, he does some stuff well. He's really inconsistent. I don't know where he's going to go. I think Washington is honestly a good spot to take a chance on a guy like Cam Reddish because, just go ahead and give it a try at this point. So I think he could go to any one of those rebuilding teams.
Culture, baby. Cam Reddish. He's got to redeem himself.
A little bit of a reclamation project there from Miami. I could see that. But yeah, I think that's everything we have for this episode. We appreciate y'all tuning in as always. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this episode. I'll also turn on notifications so you know when these episodes are coming up. Probably the next episode will be, I don't know, maybe like Saturday, Sunday, probably one of those days maybe even Monday. We'll see how much free agency news actually happens.
If we have lots to talk about Friday night, then we might record Friday night and post it Saturday, or Saturday morning and post it later in the day.
Yeah, so we'll do one of those. But yeah, definitely be on the lookout for all that. I appreciate y'all tuning in as always to, I guess, this first episode now of the 2-man game, the new name of the podcast. Yeah. You have anything else you want to wrap up with?
TMG gang for life, baby. Comment that down below. TMG gang, rise up.
Yeah, comment TMG down below if you're rocking with the new name, and to show us that you made it to the end of the video as always. And yeah, we'll see y'all at some point again soon. Take care, and hopefully your team does well in free agency. Ryan, one bold prediction for the Sixers.
Bold prediction for the Sixers?
Mm-hmm. I put you on the spot here. If you don't have one, you don't have one.
Man. Tobias Harris is traded.
Okay, there it is. If Ryan's wrong, then he will never be on the podcast again. You will not see him for the next episode. It'll be the 2-man game will go on as just me and Tobias Harris.
And a crumble cookie.
Yeah, we'll be sponsored by Crumble Cookies for the next episode.
No, we'll just put a crumble cookie here. we'll put it here.
Well, yeah, we'll put like your mic like right there. It won't even show on the screen. We'll put the mic right there. We'll put the crumble cookie in front of it.
Connor, I think we should make a deal. If Tobias Harris is traded, you have to buy me a crumble cookie.
Okay, I'll do that. If Tobias Harris is traded, I'm giving Ryan a crumble cookie or an insomnia cookie because I'm not gonna let him choose. And I think insomnia cookies is still
good thing there's no insomnia cookies around me. You're stuck with crumble.
I will buy one up here in New York and I will mail it to you. You'll get that cookie in an envelope in 3 to 5 business days.
That's me so crusty, man.
And it might still clear a crumble cookie. But with all that being said, we appreciate you all as always. Take care.